Shit! We just made it, gang. We just made it. This mark here, blah, 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 25 years of X-Story milestone, diverse storytelling, teams, fans. All games shown today are available day one with Xbox Game Pass. Buy ones, play on Xbox consoles, Xbox on PC, Xbox Cloud. Why do you have... yeah, whatever. I don't know how long this showcase is. Probably like 40 minutes to an hour. I think they promised us some Fable, promised us some... probably some Forza or whatever. Pecky 18. Whoa, it has like a bunch of mature ratings. This stream only started now? Yeah. I just barely made it because I was in the kitchen talking to myself. Kicking off 2026. Hey, so let's be very cynical about all of this right away, because there's been a bunch of Asian guys walking in this video. Do you think Xbox is like doing that? Do you think there's a marketing guru at Xbox being like, put Asian people in it because we don't have a Japanese audience and we're trying to cultivate a Japanese audience? Like, social proof, you know, there's a bunch of Asian people in the Xbox showcase. So, you know, I, a guy in Japan, am also allowed to play Xbox. Or do you think this is completely organic? It could be, actually. Especially if it's just, you know, recordings from different studios and one of them happens to be in Japan.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Oh, very funny. Hello, sir. You ready for disappointment? Oh, Bradley. Oh, I don't... Disappointment precludes or presumes any sort of hype. Oh yeah, Game Freak. The Pokemon guys are making something. Playground games. Ah!
Welcome to this world first look at Forza Horizon 6.
Oh yeah, Forza Horizon, Forza Horizon.
I can't wait to show you.
They keep making these Forza Horizon games.
And I'm Don Arceta, art director for Forza
So,
Horizon.
what do you think, chat? Are we impressed?
The Horizon Festival is a celebration of beautiful cars, hit music,
What
and
is,
breathtaking
like...
locations around the world. And
I feel like
to the
these sorts of driving games, they have much more upper mobility in terms of sort of what you can do creatively with them than, say, FIFA. And FIFA, it's like annual, and it's just, you know, it's the same game over and over again. They tweak this thing, and, you know, it's just, but it's the same stuff, right? Let's be very real about that. And nerds will be like, no, it actually isn't, you know, it's very different playing them. It's like, yeah, it is different because they moved this variable up and this variable down in order to create the illusion of difference so that people like you would be like, oh, it is different. But actually, this could just be a patch. Patch, new players in, new stats, all that. But these driving games, they could be so much more. And as somebody who's not into driving games, and I'm wondering if one of you maybe is into these driving games, are they doing stuff with these games where they feel different, where you play one and then you play this Forza, then you play the previous Forza, and you're like, oh well, the previous Forza, you know, it's really lacking this hero option, it was really lacking this. Or is this also just better shaders, better bump mapping, better lighting?
That will be a true accomplishment. Throughout that journey, all of Japan
Horizon is more arcadey than the old Forza and Gran Turismo. Okay, yeah, because Gran Turismo is all about like realism, isn't it? I might be talking completely out of my ass here. I don't know. I don't like driving games. I really don't know them. I played Burnout 2 back on the PlayStation 2 back in the day. I played Need for Speed Underground maybe with my cousin. It may have been. I was a Need for Speed. I don't know if it was Underground.
This is our largest map,
And
full of
that's about it.
diverse biomes, seasonality, and breathtaking driving experiences, elevated by Japan's unique car culture. So we knew from the start.
Does Japan have a big car culture? Because I know China does not, and my understanding was that Japan is very much a bullet train culture.
As someone who grew up in Los Angeles,
But I've never been to Japan. Maybe they do. These don't really appeal to me because they aren't really sports sims. They're basically an evolution of arcade games.
animation.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
And Western video game studios. Over the
Gran
course of
Turismo is
production,
simulating.
I
Yeah.
had
Hey
many
Coco Renau.
conversations with the team about the nuances and the details of Japanese culture and how to
Whoa.
reflect these in Forza Horizon 6. As an example, when we discussed naming options for the player home at Tokyo Docks, we discussed the building number, picking 7 and 8 because those two numbers are considered fortunate in Japan. In fact,
Damn.
these numbers are also
So
pretty
close to
well-known
6, 7, huh?
Japanese proverb.
Isn't that funny, chat?
Huh?
You can tell the difference when you have VR and a driving controller. Yeah, because I remember when VR first started coming out, like modern VR. I think you can even watch those old streams where I'm talking about VR. I was like, hey, this should be for like sim games, for like flight simulator and driving games, because the fantasy in those games is the realism, whereas it just became like I don't know what the landscape of VR games is, but to me that was very much what they should have done. Like, yeah, do a mech game set in VR and have a really crazy complex control panel that you need to actually look around. And I don't know if they did that. But I also don't. I've never actually used VR, so I don't know how much it sort of puts you in the spot, or because apparently. So my understanding is that it's not like Iron Man helmet. You have the visual in front of you. It's you have a box in front of you with a black border, and then you look around, and then you see around it. Is that true? In this stream, I just ask chat for what is and what is not reality. Japan is a metro culture. Yeah, I figured. But they do have Tokyo drifting.
Every corner and every shortcut is fun to drive and a delight to explore.
Sim racers are Assetto Corsa, iRacing, and the new WEC games.
And these changes are widely
Forza 5 goes crazy with VR? Oh, interesting.
Capture that in games so that you'll see those changes reflected in the world around you as you explore.
Running in the
That
90s.
sense of exploration is at the heart of the game. Everything you find on your road trip in Japan is something for you to collect. Cars, houses, landmarks, mascots, and more, all tracked in your adventure journal.
Ooh, Adventure Journal.
Japan's car culture is one of the reasons we've been so excited for this location. And Forza Horizon 6 will feature 550 cars at launch.
Damn.
We'll have new body kits, new Forza Aero, and the ability to paint liveries on windows. We've also
Damn.
overhauled our roster to be better balanced across all performance classes, from D to our new top-end R class for track focus.
Damn. What would we do, Chad, if we were doing a driving game?
We've improved how each car is
What would our collective driving game be? I feel like one thing we could add, because when you're doing a new franchise, you can't just make another Forza and have it compete. You have to do something different, or you have to do the same thing but like 10 times better. So I think we should do something different. And my thinking is, our driving game should really focus on the meat sack humans inside of the cars. So if you're driving crazy, you're gonna slam the people driving the cars, and it's gonna affect your ability to actually control the cars.
And Forza Horizon 6 cover car is one of them.
And like if you drive against the sun, you actually like blind yourself and you can't see.
Road car that combines motorsport performance with road going excellence.
But I don't know, maybe these games already do that. So
Place to experience the most modern iteration of Kazoo Racing's relentless.
are we gonna show more than Forza? They're gonna show Forza. They're gonna show Fable, and they're gonna show Game Freak.
With greater detail and remastered audio, all brought to life by new acoustic modeling technology, simulating the soundscape of the world.
Damn, crazy acoustics. Apparently, this is all fake. Like these car companies, they already mastered the technology to create completely silent super muscle cars, but people who drive these sorts of cars, they want them to be loud and aggressive, so they hire like sound designers to artificially create these noises.
We're curating a diverse track
I think Hans Zimmer was hired once for one of these.
Japanese artists, so you can choose your perfect soundtrack, whether racing, cruising, or drifting.
Gang, it hasn't even been 5 minutes.
We've captured extensive recordings across all 4 seasons.
It's been like 10 minutes, hasn't it? I think so,
Truly
yeah.
authentic world.
Another Ridge Racer as good as 4? Sounds terrible.
In Forza Horizon 6, you'll have new ways to shape that world with
Beast of Reincarnation, I'm curious to see what Game Freak can do outside of Pokemon. I am curious too. Are they like unilaterally capable of doing Pokemon games? Or do they have like creative muscle in this studio that has just been like waiting to come roaring back to life, making something other than Pokemon?
friends over to see what you've built.
People get really mad about how engines sound. If I was like a billionaire, I would go to one of these car companies and I'd be like, yeah, like I want this crazy, $25 million car, but I'll pay you extra if you remove the noise. And I would like make it a like a point of pride to drive this car in like competition and showcases, and there not be any noise, just to be like, oh, this guy come here to ruin our fun again. They do non-Pokemon games like every once a blue moon. Yeah, they do like they also used to do like Pokemon Snap and stuff like that, didn't they? Like these sorts of spin-off Pokemon games.
Our major new accessibility feature is custom.
Because I think that's interesting. I think that one of the most interesting gaming studios of all time that gets forgotten. Like people talk about the Valves, people talk about the Valves and Looking Glass and the Valve and stuff. But people have forgotten LucasArts a bit, partly because it's dead. But something they did is they made a bunch of Star Wars games. But they did it like, oh, we'll do a flight sim game in the Star Wars universe. We'll do a first-person shooter in the Star Wars universe. We'll do like a point-and-click adventure game, and it'll be like an Indiana Jones game. Like they experimented with so many different franchises and genres and presentation styles. But it was still like, we'll still just use, and like they did like Grim Fandango and stuff like that too. But they really, they did so much interesting stuff, and like so many different approaches with those same core licenses of Star Wars and like Indiana Jones. And I'm sitting here like, Pokemon, that could be interesting for you to do. Like, why isn't there a Pokemon first-person shooter? And, or like, do Pokemon Snap again, where, it's a bit like maybe Beyond Good and Evil, where you just have a really interesting universe, and like, the creatures, they all interact in interesting, fun ways, but you're not collecting them in this one, you're just photographing them. And the test is just, photograph all of the creatures, and the more you know about their behaviors, and the more you can sort of deduce where they'll be, the better you'll get at the game. Just like, instead of making just the same kind of Pokemon game again and again, why don't you like branch out? And maybe they do that already, but I'm not a Pokemon guy, so, I'm suggesting something they've been doing all along, and, it's just, because I don't know about it, it sounds like a novel idea to me when I say it.
We hope you've enjoyed this first look at some of the new features we've been working on, and that you're as excited as we are for the game. We'll be launching
You hear a lot about it with Formula 1. It's kind of a circle jerk, but ultimately engines do sound cool. Engines do sound cool. I'm not denying that. Like, and they also like the more aggressive looking the car is, like the lights. If you look at the front of a car, like a face, like the angry eyes. The more aggressive looking a car is, the more risky the driving is. People have done experiments on this. It sounds like a lot of people took for granted 90s and 2000s Lucas. Oh yeah, like George Lucas is the most unfairly maligned man in entertainment. Like he is completely unproblematic, like no rape accusations or anything that I know of. He completely revolutionized Hollywood movie making with Star Wars. He completely revolutionized PC gaming with LucasArts. He completely revolutionized movie making with Pixar. Pixar started as an offshoot of Industrial Light and Magic, and he completely revolutionized Hollywood movie making yet again when he made the prequel movies. And you can like argue about the quality of all that stuff, but man, he was so forgiving of fan projects and stuff like that. People made their little Star Wars movies on YouTube, and George Lucas was like, "Yay, man, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna sue you and take this down." And so, like, really nurturing a creative community. And, when you had some companies that were really aggressively trying to take that down, having somebody like George Lucas have such a soft hand, such a soft touch on all of that stuff, I think that's just kind of fantastic because, like, Yeah, like maybe you can't do your like your own. It's kind of like with machinimas and stuff like that, where at the sort of offset of people doing creative things with video game footage, there was genuinely a question, if you guys remember, of like, hey, who owns the footage? Do you own that because you recorded it, or do the game companies own that? And if so, do you have to pay them royalties? And it's like, no, because you have guys like George Lucas who doesn't go after people, and that means that if you go after people, people just aren't going to make anything with your media. So now you just have to be a bit more open with your media, like he is. And, you know, I don't know. I like George Lucas. I think he's a cool guy. Now let's watch this. This does remind me of every other game coming out right now, but we'll see. We'll see. I've always had this strong urge to try a new kind of game. For a long time, I've been working on Pokemon, and finally, they've released me from the Pokemon dungeons. Please buy this game. Don't make me do more Pokemons. What kind of sensation I wanted the game to offer. What a beautiful sentence. Before settling on the world, characters, or game design, I was simply searching for what kind of feeling would be good. The feeling that resonated most deeply with me was one that clicked. It was a mixture of warmth, trust, and loneliness. Oh! Emma, the exiled protagonist, and her warm companion, Ku, who journeys through this world with her. After hearing the concept of Beast of Reincarnation from Fukushima, I was very intrigued, and knew right away I wanted to be a part of it. This guy kind of reminds me of Miles Teller. They have a similar head shape. Decent actor. This guy probably a good programmer then, or whatever his title was. I didn't notice. Most spin-off Pokemon stuff is handled by other devs now. That sound is usually from the superchargers. The custom cars don't damp the sounds through extra engineering, so you get roaring sound. Colin Sykes sounds like nothing because there's no engine to supercharge. Trooper, I think it's also hilarious to have a black wife and make the prequel comedic relief character an alien Rastafarian. Well, to be fair, yeah, not problematic, just funny. Yeah, like, so George Lucas does, and like Greedo, not Greedo, Watto is just like this really shifty Jewish stereotype. But like George Lucas was just pilfering from like media he enjoyed as a kid, and those media, they would have like a wacky, silly black character or like a horribly racist stereotype, and he was like, I'll do that again, but I'll make them aliens so nobody gets offended. And you know what? More power to him. Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. I think it was also funny when he did that, what's it called? Like Red Tails? That movie about the black fighter pilots? And he was on Oprah and he was like, you know, Oprah, this is the first all-black movie. And Oprah was like, huh, really? Oh, George Lucas, I love you so much. This looks nice. It blends Japan's rich, mountainous, surrounded landscapes with elements of science fiction. Another key plant motif that we developed is malefacts, which are creatures we pilfered from Princess Mononoke. I think Game Freak excels when they lean into Japanese folklore and mythology. Really interesting. Does that come through in Pokemon too then? Because like so far I've been yammering over this, but I do think this looks kind of cool. I think it's also very telling of the age we live in, that the media we look at is people discovering meaning in the ruins of the dead civilization. I think it's very sort of, you know, it's sort of a mirror reflection of where we are as a society. Or It's just that video games play better when you don't have a lot of NPC goobers talking about, so we need settings that don't have a lot of that, and post-apocalyptic settings just make for a lot of fun gameplay. You know, could also just be that. I guess after the story of Sekiro, there wasn't anything for her to do, so she just went on to work for Game Freak. Oh, I dropped out. Was this is this is this wait, FromSoft pilfering here? Did I miss something? Star Wars is basically just a Kurosawa samurai film. Yeah, in many ways. I think George Lucas has even admitted that. Pokemon is very much Japanese mythology based. Interesting. Interesting. I think it's so sad that George Lucas, you know, he talks about how in his retirement he just makes his own experimental movies for nobody. I think that's kind of like because George Lucas, people shit on the guy. He is such a good movie maker. Like, okay, you didn't like the prequels. What movie have you made? Did you write Raiders of the Lost Ark? Like, if you read that original pitch meeting with Spielberg, Kasdan, and Lucas, George Lucas had every idea. Everything about Indiana Jones was from George Lucas in that meeting. Kasdan, I think, contributed like 2 things, and Steven Spielberg's contribution was like, I think like George Lucas had a moment where he was like, you know, the movie has to end with Indiana Jones using the whip to drag Marion to him, because that's the sort of like machismo he has. And then Spielberg was like, yeah, and he should also use the whip to catch a bottle of beer. Like, this was Spielberg's contribution to that movie, like conceptually. Obviously, as a director, he has a lot of input. But like, George Lucas did that. George Lucas did Star Wars. You know, what have you done? What have you done that you have any legs to stand on to criticize the man? And now he lies about doing experimental movies that he doesn't let anybody see, and like maybe he actually does them, but doesn't let anyone see because he's been so burnt by people. It's a damn shame, you know, because you would have wanted him to stay on in some capacity doing something. Like, here's something, like, if I was in George Lucas's footsteps, I would have like, okay, it's the George Lucas Academy that I'm doing. And basically what it is I have taken interest in these like 5 indie movie makers. And I'm gonna guide them, you know. I'm gonna teach them because I have a lot to teach, and they're gonna teach me because they have new insights, and I have like a lot of resources to help them deliver on their movies. And we're just gonna do that, like kind of like Blumhouse, you know. I'm gonna take a producer role in these things. But no, people had to be mean to him because they didn't like 3 movies. And then people are like, what the movie's getting so bad right now? Hollywood doesn't take creative chances. Like, yeah, hey, do you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Have you missed anything interesting? Yeah, you have. We've been talking about George Lucas. By combining various skills, you can create your own playstyle. The combat deepens with the introduction of spirit stones that connect Emma and Ku, and allow players to stack katana effects that trigger when Emma performs a parry. Very interesting. Some people only fight at long range, while others use only stealth. Ha! It has like multiple playstyles! I feel like that backstab animation was kind of weak sauce, gang. I don't know what to tell you. The main character is waifu. Check this out. He just shot the guy. Damn. 6 years poured all of our efforts into this. I do like that sort of cone, like flat cone straw hat thing she's got going on. We're excited to share that Beast of Reincarnation will release on all platforms, except Nintendo. Interesting. Yeah, oh, that's right. Nintendo doesn't own Game Freak. They own I think they own 35% of it or something. Yeah, everybody wishlist this game. Also wishlist my game, linked in the description. Haha. Parry mechanics. Cool. This is very Princess Mononoke, I feel like. Might get it on PlayStation again. This looked fine, you know, I wasn't... I didn't find a disgust impulse in my heart watching this. I thought this was fine. Double fine! Psychonauts 3? Can it be? No, it's probably the Lighthouse game. I think that one had like clay aesthetics or something. Ah, wearing a ring while you do that. Tim Schafer, what are you doing?
Hello, I'm Tim Schafer, founder and studio head of Double Fine Productions, and this is Elizabeth Larkin, senior tools programmer and junior in-house.
Oh, she was the one. See, like, this is funny. It's like a little bit of comedy there because it made it look like he was the one doing the claying, but it was in fact her.
Get the projects we're currently working on, basically get Amnesia, and we do this for 2 weeks. That's a fortnight. And we build a few of these experimental game prototypes. We call this process Amnesia Fortnight. We've had all sorts of great ideas come out of this process. It's just like this clay. With a little bit of pressure and creativity, something interesting is created that wasn't there before. Our next game came out of Amnesia Fortnight. It's all about encouraging you to create with others. And then use what you create to destroy each other.
Probably this isn't another Psychonauts. Psychonauts 2, gang, a rare 10 out of 10 from Acer in this modern day. Ooh, it was so good. I might play Psychonauts 2 again just after watching this stream. I might just, instead of streaming Dome Keeper, I might just replay Psychonauts 2. That was such a good game. It just perfectly captured the spirit of the original. Like 20 years later, they did a sequel, and it's one like, oh wow, this sequel could have come out just the subsequent years, the subsequent year, you know, graphical, technological evolution aside, like spiritually, it felt so true to the first game, and it was so much fun to play. It was so wacky and creative. A rare 10 out of 10. I'm so happy to give a game a 10 out of 10. Because I thought that maybe I'm just too cynical. Maybe I just hate everything. Maybe that's the reason I don't enjoy as many games as I used to. But no, because then I played it and I was like, oh no, it's the games. It's not me, Chad. It's the games. This might be fun. I'm not big into like multiplayer games in general, but you know, this could be fun. I was hoping, he was talking about like, we do these little experimental titles to get some ideas and flesh things out. I was hoping it was gonna be like, oh, and now we're releasing all of them, and here are like 70 of these experimental little games we've been doing, and you can play all of them. I would have wanted that. Kind of like how like they showed in the Breath of the Wild GDC. They were like, hey, yeah, we just remade NES Zelda, the first one, and we just stacked on mechanics until we found something we were happy with. And then they showed this sort of prototype Zelda, prototype Breath of the Wild that played like the NES Zelda. I want to play that! Release that! Oh, Nintendo involved? I changed my mind. I wonder how much this will influence the next Pokemon. Ooh, yeah, Beast of Reincarnation. I don't know, I feel like, isn't Pokemon... Game Freak owns Pokemon, or Game Freak's... Isn't there such a thing as the Pokemon Company? That Game Freak owns like a half of, or something like that. I think it's all wrapped up in complex Japanese business law that it's too complex for me. Because if Game Freak owns Pokemon outright, it would be interesting that they are trying to branch out. But if they don't own it completely outright, it would be very logical for them to want to do that. It's interesting that every third-person action game with parry is called a Souls-like now, when parrying is a pretty weak comparison compared to dots rolling in every Souls game aside from Sekiro. Yeah, like, parrying is a Sekiro thing, much more so than a... Like, yeah, there is parrying in the Souls games, but nobody does it.
A best-in-class pottery sim, of course. With this strange concept came lots of design challenges, though.
But I don't think it is ultimately like, oh, Sekiro inspired it. I think it's kind of like how, like Gears of War and Uncharted. You know, oh, these games were inspired by Resident Evil 4, and it's like, well, okay, maybe a bit, but Resident Evil 4, you know, it just was the first game to sort of lock down and perfect that presentation, like over-the-shoulder third-person shooting. And so any game that, but it was like a very obvious way to make games once somebody had done it. And like Sekiro's presentation of like really fluid movement, parry combat, like all of that stuff, like this is like kind of like RE4, you know, is just RE1 again, but they moved the camera. You know, it's still tank controls, but now tank controls are locked to like a camera, and you move the character and the camera together. It's like, this isn't as big a leap as it looks like. You know, it is a big leap, but you know, structurally it's not that big. And you know, there were streams of experimentation towards what like The Last of Us would become prior to Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 4 was sort of the big one that nailed it. Likewise, you know, there have been action games with prominent parry systems before Sekiro. There were third-person action games with like really fluid movement before Sekiro. But Sekiro was sort of the game where all of these things finally came together in a way that it just clicked. And not that these games are now just iterating on Sekiro, but once that presentation is there, it's very easy to sort of recreate it again and again and again.
The animation team has taken on the challenge of bringing those different pot shapes to life in surprising ways.
Sekiro's combat is the sanding down of the sword-to-sword combat, in my opinion. Interesting. Sword-to-sword combat. Most of the time I parry in Souls games, it feels like cheese. Like I like having it in those games, but at this point, like I don't use it anymore. Because I always use I always two-hand a big sword, and not a lot of parrying options there. And I don't want to have like a buckler in one hand, parry, then quickly two-hand and do the other like that. No, that's against the spirit of two-handing a big sword in the first place. They can trivialize bosses, isn't a viable, or it just isn't a viable option compared to dots rolling. Yeah, I can see that.
Designed our maps to integrate with how you choose to play and what pot you choose to play as. So you'll see things like
Are we still talking about this pot game?
that are only traversable with certain.
No, I'm not actually upset about watching the pot game. I think this is interesting. I'm also like, you know, Xbox, say what you want. Them collecting Double Fine, like Double Fine releases games at a pretty reasonable rate, and like that might not have been the case if they didn't have Microsoft's financial backing, because like I don't know that these games make a great deal of money. So like thank you, Phil Spencer, for that. Thank you for making sure this studio gets to make more games.
Everything from your size.
Have you considered in Souls games, your sword isn't usually connecting with any other sword? Oh yeah. True.
Do you want a team full of large cups, maximizing your dousing potential? Or a team of tiny ninja saucers ready to quickly smash up anything that gets in their way? Or a unique combination you've discovered that balances power and splashability? If you're skilled enough to end up at the enemy kiln with lots of water, you can unleash a powerful super splash ability that does tons of damage and makes the kiln vulnerable to further attacks, letting you and your team dunk on the enemy kiln to either win big or turn the tide and make a comeback.
And that is how it's done.
At the end of a round, the cycle of creation and destruction moves around again, and now you're back in the wedge, a multiplayer lobby where you can hang at the wheel and make something cool with your friends. You've just earned XP points and chips from battle. Now you can load
Looks
up
like
on
a
our
chiller
supplies
league.
and expand your pot making options.
I think of the game being so much about the fighting, but when people play it, they just want to create all day long.
Our decoration system was designed to support your creativity. As we did with the design of the sculpting process, we looked to the pottery studio for inspiration. We found ways to translate the experience of adding spouts, lids, and handles, as well as glazing to Kim.
Interesting.
Every design choice we made
This is really interesting. But it's not Psychonauts 3, which is what I want. Why is this studio making original, unique ideas when they could just be doing another sequel to a game I already know? Like, why are they asking me to invest my time in something new and interesting when I could just get more of what I already know I want? God!
Handle, a 2-layer watermelon glaze, and I'm ready to bring the good vibes into the chaos.
Interesting.
My favorite is the large vase. It has
Farad Badi.
and it's great for team defense and protecting your Bix.
Hands down, the best pot shape is a small bowl. It's perfect for sneaking past enemies. Plus, its ice cream theme special is so cute.
One of my favorite warrior pots has to be the medium base. It's decently fast for invading enemy players and matches. Decorations really make it shine. A curved elbow spout, cupid's handle, some spiked charms with a rainbow glaze, and one butt sticker.
Hey, oh yeah, butt sticker. Gotta use a butt sticker, baby. Do you guys remember, it was a game on Miniclip. It was probably on other sites as well. I don't remember the name of this game, but it was really good. You would both players would create their own cars. Like, you would have a base, you would have tires, you could add spikes and plows and like saws and a bunch of crap to your car. And then you would just matchmake against other players and you would compete.
Creating is more fun together.
Do you guys remember this game?
Be on the lookout to thread
That was a really fun game.
fans and join the Double Fine Action Insiders for an even earlier look and a chance to play in our closed beta very soon.
They say it 5 times. That's mean. Am I supposed to? Okay. This game is called Kill.
This guy has scoliosis. Who? Based Miniclip. Miniclip was where a lot of boys became men, let me tell you.
Online multiplayer pottery poly brawl. It's getting better. Online multiplayer pottery party brawl.
I probably played it if it was on Miniclip. Yeah, I've like, it was up there with one of those games. Let me Google that.
Welcome to Playground Games, where
Robot Rage? Is that the game I'm thinking of?
a game we've been making here for a really, really long time. Fable.
I think it is.
Playground Games is
Yes, baby, this is what I'm talking. You had like this spike, like on the ships that the Romans stole from the Carthaginians, and you just nail down your opponent. Oh my god. Oh, Robot Rage, rearmed. Yeah, I remember, like, these spikes and the plow were the cheapest part, so a lot of players would just use those two. Oh my god, do you guys remember? And yeah, you could paint it and, like, create, like, an interesting tile, texture to wrap around it. And yeah, it was on top of a building, and this was what happened, like, you would fly down there and die. Cutter, like, yeah, this is OP. It's really poorly balanced because sometimes you'd match with somebody like this. I think actually you would see like their rating and you could choose to match with whoever you wanted. But every now and then you would like try and matching with one of these guys when your car was just like just a basic piece of shit, like this or something. And yeah, it wouldn't go so well. Also, like, yeah. Look at this, like really creative, really fun. Yeah, here he is, he's drawing the texture. It's really, I remember this game so well, it was so much fun. But if I played it today, probably I'd be like, really poorly balanced.
As a child, growing up in
They didn't balance it very well.
It's here.
Alright, Fable.
Of extreme danger, your heroic powers first emerge.
and we discovered that
Is Peter Molyneux associated with this game in any capacity? Didn't he talk about recently wanting to redeem himself?
people of your village, including your beloved grandma, are turned to stone by a mysterious stranger. Suddenly alone in the world, you'll set off on an adventure which will change Albion forever.
Oh.
Venturing out into the world is a huge
Konar Cross. That's a crazy name, bro.
idyllic rolling hills.
But that's a good art director name, you know? Art direction by Konar Cross. What kind of game is Fable? I think it's just like an RPG, isn't it?
And because our Albion is truly open world,
There's decision making in mid combat.
rich and detailed world seamlessly, with the freedom to go where you want from early in the game.
We can't wait to welcome you back to Albion's iconic capital city, Bowerstone.
Oh.
Home to Fairfax Castle.
But isn't it also like... Isn't Fable also like fart jokes in Shrek? Isn't it like that?
It's a huge city,
I don't know.
full of contrasts. Rich and poor, nobles and commoners, royalty and criminals. You'll spend plenty of time here during the game, as you discover the secrets of the Heroes Guild and its reclusive guildmaster, Humphrey the Golden.
In the north,
I am right! Ugh.
You'll find mountains, craggy coastlines,
It's 2010's DreamWorks fantasy. Ugh. Ugh.
and the bleak,
Damn.
windswept city of Bloodstone. Here you'll meet the leaders
I would rather just Persona with decision and better than mid-combat. You know, we recently played Fear and Hunger. And Fear and Hunger kind of reminded me that, oh, actually, I quite like role-playing games. I just don't like bloated interfaces. Because, like, Fear and Hunger, yeah, there are choices and stuff you can do there, but it's mostly just... You know, it's not endless dialogue, it's not endless decision points or shit like that. It's just, here you have, like, you in this world, now play this role that you're playing as.
And so do you. In our game, we want you to play as the hero you want to be. And that starts
You can't play as a woman in the first Fable, so that's an automatic minus.
In
Huh?
Fable, you'll be able to pick from a range of different character heads and customize your clothing, hair,
Ew.
skin tone, tattoos, and scars. So
Oh, look, he's wearing a chicken outfit.
But as well as your appearance, you can be the hero you want to be through the way you play, through the skills and abilities you learn, and through the weapons you use.
Just like the classic trilogy, heroes in our game.
Also, I find this to be really interesting, how role-playing games that pride themselves on choices still have combat as an execution challenge. I find that interesting because, like, you obviously want to stimulate the player while they're playing, but if it's all about choice, I think that you should just have, like, you walk up to this enemy, and there should just be a prompt next to his head that says, fight, and you can fight if you want, but then it also says, you will lose, or you will win. Because losing, like, failing to defeat a boss, that's never a choice. That's just like, oh, I wasn't good enough at the execution challenge. And I feel like, you know, you really, like, I think there is something there to, I guess it's more like text-based role-playing from back in the, like, Atari games. But I think there is something to that, where combat should be a choice, not a challenge, you know? Oh, he hit his friend.
Hobbs are back, as are Balverines, Hollowfolk, and Trolls.
I now remember this game. Twitter people love to make fun of this game for the woman. I saw that too when I saw the woman. I was like, oh, I know where this is.
With their own weaknesses to exploit and defenses to overcome. But with all the unique tools in your combat toolbox, how you defeat your enemies is up to you.
How you defeat your enemies is up to you.
But there's more to being a hero in Albion than fighting. So much more.
Oh.
When we talk to people about their favorite memories of the original games, so many of their stories were about the stuff you can
Why do they have that that tablet thing on the wall there if there's no text on it that they haven't erased for 2 years, like me?
Are the inhabitants of Albion, and the things you can do with them, or to them.
The crazy thing
Acer loves walking sims. No, I don't love walking sims.
where you could just mess around with the villagers and townsfolk.
And we've built
I think there is a balance.
Our game too. buying a house.
That's one of my favorite games is Dark Souls 3. Oh no.
Romancing a villager, getting married, having kids.
Fancy a date?
Perfect. You can get to know me better.
Oh wow. This guy has no game, but thankfully he met a woman who also has no game.
Buying every business now, then. Getting rich.
Marrying a bunch more people. Having a bunch more kids. Probably getting divorced along the way for good measure.
And this game
I don't know. This probably appeals to somebody. This is not a game for me. Have I played Grizz? Have I? I might have. Hold on.
Who we call the living population. There are more than 1,000 of them, and every single one is unique.
Not Grit, damn it, Grizz.
And their own personality. You could follow.
No, I don't think I have. I would have remembered that that art style.
They'll get up, work, spend some leisure time on hobbies, then go home to bed.
What's even cooler is that you can talk to every single one of them in fully voiced conversations and interact with them in loads of different ways. Maybe the job they go to is working for you because you hired them to work in one of your businesses.
Hey, you. Working hard? How can I help you, boss?
Maybe the bed they sleep in.
Like this to me feels like it's kind of like Animal Crossing, where,
Maybe their bed is on the street.
or like Cookie Clicker, where you're kind of, or I don't know, like you're kind of building these relationships to optimize the utility of these characters. You know, you're like building a business and hiring and firing people, and like that is the fantasy for someone in a universe like this. But to me, I would be much more enamored with like, you're like a guy in the world, and here's the mission.
Evil underpinned all of the original games, and morality is central to our game too. But we have a slightly different.
I have L Gris. Hey, that's not true, man. I have a baddie goth gamer GF. She's not a goth though, and she's not a gamer. And she's not really a baddie. She's very nice.
No two people see things.
It's a good choice if you don't want players to treat enemies as challenges instead of a puzzle. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, what combat is always thought of in the same way. And look, my game doesn't innovate on this in any way. But so I'm not saying theirs is a bad game for not doing it, but if it's about choices and, you know, the decisions you make as a player, why would dying be possible? Unless that's like a choice you make. Imbecile.
Is created by the choices you make. And
This guy looks like Zac Efron from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Little choices, moral choices, and
Saying your girl isn't a baddie because he's so nice is such a millennial thing to say. She is nice.
Your choices change the world. Let's give you an example.
Early in the game, you'll meet a character named Dave, an egotistical gardener in a rural village who discovers a magical growth formula. He accidentally turns himself into a giant and becomes a big problem. It'll be your job to deal with him, and ultimately it will be your choice whether to kill him or to spare him. If you
Gotta go. Need to watch back. Oh no! Please stay. There's like 2 minutes left or something.
It will also affect what a lot of the villagers think about you.
Especially Dave's sister. In Fable.
Okay, so they're creating this system for storytelling that is really adaptive, or they've just really forked a lot of narrative paths in the universe. But what I want to know, Chad, what I want to know is, what the hell is the story even about?
Is a passion project for all of us here.
Like, I see a guy kicking a chicken, but what are the ideas this game engages with? What are the like questions it asks? What does it illustrate about the human condition?
But also to introduce Fable to gamers who've never
Fine. If enemies give experience, then it's always better to fight them than not if you can defeat them. But if they don't, it's a choice to kill them and get their loot and save your resources, or ignore them.
and PlayStation in autumn 2026.
If you're responding to, I don't know if you're replying to my thing about like dying being a choice and such, but I mean, if you are, like, I mean more that like you're gluing execution challenge to choices, and these just are different things. So whether or not like I don't think choice is, like the idea of a choice game that I'm talking about is like you make the choice and it happens, not there's a percentage or like a die roll. Just like the choice is what you make it and then it happens. And in a system like that, combat should just be a choice rather than being a rather than being an execution challenge, rather than being a choice sort of framed as an execution challenge. You know, oh, avoiding combat is a choice, or fighting is a choice. And it's like, yeah, but then the activity of fighting is not a choice. That's an execution challenge.
You play through the skills and abilities you learn and through the weapons you use.
New adventures. Are they gonna have a secret 5th announcement? Psychonauts 3? I don't think so. Also interesting that Phil Spencer didn't show up. Blah. Chad. I'm talking about Undertale. I might be. Acer asks the question, but what does it say? And Fable boldly answers, fart sound effects. Bleh. I don't know about this one, gang. We playing a game now? Maybe later tonight. We'll play Dome Keepers. Can't do it right now though. I kind of want to maybe go out for a walk or something, or maybe get something to eat. Honestly, this seems okay. Yeah, like there's nothing like offensive here. I thought, Fable is not for me, so I'm not gonna get mad. Forza, not for me. Not gonna get mad. Beast of Reincarnation, look decent enough. Not gonna get mad. Kiln, not for me. But, not offensive. I'm not gonna get mad at this. This looks like a fun little, little wacky pot game. Better than anime gacha always online. You mean Jeff Keighley games? No, I like Jeff Keighley. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Chad, I'm gonna sign off on the Xbox Developer Direct. And I might come back later today, or later tonight, playing some Dome Keeper. And if not, we'll maybe do it tomorrow. You could be mad at Dustbloods, though. See you guys.